Welcome back to the show, Junkies on 106.7 The Fan. Good morning. I'm Cakes, joined by John Paul Flame.
That's me.
Also joined by Eric Bickle. You can follow him at EB Junkies on Twitter and on the gram, on Instagram.
Thank you, Cakes.
We're joined now on the Mitsubishi Electric Heating Hotline by Bob Ryan, famed Boston Globe columnist. He has a new book out. It's Scribe, My Life in Sports, available wherever books are sold. Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, etc., etc.
And I have to say, Bob, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had you on when the book first came out, and oftentimes, you know this, you've worked in radio a lot, I know this. You get these books sent to you 20 minutes before the interview, and you don't read them. Same situation, I think, happened with you. I've since read it, though, and I'm almost all the way through it, and it's been an enjoyable, I've really, really enjoyed the read.
Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a great book, so I highly recommend it for people.
Now, I didn't
Great.
read the book, but I just read his article about smiley face versus stone face, and I enjoyed that too. And you don't have to describe the guys. You went to the Super Bowl and talked about it, stone face versus smiley face, and I really liked your description of Pete Carroll and him over-chewing his gum.
I hate to tell you, but you've got the wrong Bob Ryan.
That's a wrong Bob Ryan?
That's so embarrassing.
Holy crap!
That's hilarious.
I typed up Bob Ryan Super Bowl, and it comes up in like a blog.
No.
Unbelievable.
Oh my God,
Bob,
JP.
this Bob Ryan doesn't just blog. He works at the
No.
Boston Globe.
I understand
I
that.
was, I was home in my living room with my friends watching the game, and I don't know who that was.
How do we recover from that?
Knee slap.
Who was that Bob Ryan?
Not the legend. Bob, I want to get your take first on the decision, and then we'll move on and put things in perspective for us. I think you can make the argument for either way on this. Initially, I think everyone just, why you got to hand off. And my argument is people pass all the time in goal line situations, but I want to hear your take.
All right. First down, he gets down to the one, and no there but for a great play by Hightower and Chung, he scores, and it's over.
Agreed.
And now you got 26 seconds, and you got theoretically, you got three opportunities. Here's what I do: I call timeout, and I get organized, and I want to run. I run. If he doesn't make it in, I spike it, and I go on fourth down. I put all the chips on the black or the red, whichever one to do it, and I give him the ball on fourth down. No way do I do anything other than run with the most powerful running back in football. I don't care if they're going to line 11 guys up. Do you think that in that moment that man at this point in time for that prize isn't going to be as determined as he's ever been in his life to get into the end zone? Don't you think that the odds are somewhere around 90% that he's going to get in even against 11 men?
I would think he would, but Bob, I've seen plenty of great backs get stopped in goal line situations. It happens as a matter of routine.
I know, and in this case, we find out that he isn't even 50%. I know that.
Yeah.
But this is not that circumstance. This is a different circumstance for
Yeah,
him.
I think.
No.
Yeah.
There's no right and wrong.
Right.
We are it's sports. There's always opinions. There's always choices.
Right.
Pete Carroll had to make a difficult choice. If a couple of things, the least likely thing was what happened, simply because we now find out. None of us knew this. Nobody had this. If there's an announcer, no one said it. But did you know? No one knew that in the entire course of the season, regular season and playoffs, that no 1 yard pass had been intercepted.
Right.
We didn't know that.
Right.
And so we would have been more confident even then. No, it never gets intercepted. Let us think about this. One of the casualties of the way we have allowed the sports dialogue to progress in the last 35 years, basically since the onset of sports talk radio, the number one culprit, but not the only one, is the idea that sometimes I just am better than you today or that moment, and you are better than me in that moment. The man who deserves more credit than he will ever get, and he's getting plenty, but not enough, outside of Boston, is Malcolm Butler.
I agree 100%.
It is a great play by a young man who claims, and we have no reason to doubt him, particularly based on the backup of his teammates, that they really respect his football mind, that he knew what was coming. He saw it. He knew from preparation.
Right.
He saw the formation, and he saw Wilson's eyes.
Right.
And then knowing it's coming is one thing, and executing is another, and he beat Ricardo Lockett. Maybe if they run it 100 more times, Ricardo Lockett beats him 99. Not that one. And then Wilson saying, maybe I threw a ball just a hair slow. I should have thrown it lower. Yes. But the fact is, Butler can't get enough credit for making a great play on that play, whether or not we think that was the play to call to start with.
No, I agree with you 1,000%. I'll even go a step further, and you have more perspective on this, and I'm sure you're not as knee-jerk as I am. But I'm willing to go so far, and I said this yesterday, Bob. I think that's the play of the century so far, to date. The most powerful, impactful play, goal line stand, most unexpected. Ray Allen hit a big shot. You could point to other plays. Santonio Holmes catch, whatever. Those are almost more expected. In my opinion, that's the play of the century to date.
That's a very good premise, and I like it. I think I would have to research it. I'm trying to think of the circumstance in that wild, incredible Rangers-Cardinals World Series. I'm trying to think of the 2 outs and down to the last out circumstances that were in that series, in that game.
Right.
I remember Alan Craig, etc.
Right.
You'd have to refresh my memory on exact circumstances there. But that's an interesting premise, and I can't. Yeah, you're right. It's the Ray Allen thing, which is. Yeah, I can't think of a better one off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, the most stunning at the moment, shocking, nobody expected it. I think it's it.
No, and also the biggest scene, the biggest showcase is obviously the Super Bowl in American sports. And so, yes, in that circumstance, I mean, I was stunned. The last thing in the world that obviously we know that statistically it's the last thing in the world that would be allowed to be thought of to be happening because no one had thrown an interception at the 1 yard line all year, which we didn't know. But if we knew it, we would have been even more amazingly flabbergasted at that moment.
Let me ask you about Tom Brady. He had 3 Super Bowls already. I don't think it would have mattered if he lost this one to his legacy. But it seemed to me after winning this one, sure, there was jubilation at the but it was almost like a monkey off his back because it had been so long for he and Belichick to win one. He seemed relieved. And I saw him interviewed afterwards on NFL Network, and I found him more personable and engaging than I had ever seen him. I'm not in Boston, and I don't listen to WEEI and his weekly interview. I found him really engaging afterwards. Was it a sense of relief, do you think, for him to win another one?
Yes, I think it was more relief than adulation and celebration. He was in literally now. The word unique is abused, and people say it was very unique. You can't be very unique. You're unique. You're not unique. This was a unique circumstance. No quarterback in the history of the National Football League had ever been in a situation where there was that long a gap between championships with a chance for him to get another one. Montana's spread was about 8 years total, I think. But he didn't have a circumstance of a long drought in between either. This is unprecedented. So he's in this circumstance. He's going to the Hall of Fame regardless, but it's just frustrating and exacerbated by the nature of the 2 losses. I mean, if he had never been back at all, it would have been one thing. But the idea of how they lost the other 2, twice he handed the lead over to his defense, was not able to hold it. Once there was an act of God, which is what I call the Terrell thing. Even more amazing, the Manning escapes. He never escaped anything before or since. And then it all started. And then the second time when Eli Manning makes one of the great clutch throws of all time, and Manning makes a superior catch. Okay, he's lost twice when he could have been a 1. He easily could have had 5 in the bag instead of the 3. No one else has ever been in that circumstance. It was unique to Tom Brady. And to get that 4th win is immeasurably satisfying. I'm sure the second most satisfying one after the first one. Maybe even more. I don't know.
We're joined by Bob Ryan from the Boston Globe. Remind us how grim it was in the Boston area after the beginning of the season. They started out 2-2. The Pats were throttled at Arrowhead 41-14. Everybody's talking about the sky is falling. Maybe Tom Brady needed to be benched. Take us back to that first quarter of the season when it didn't look like the Patriots were Super Bowl material.
2-2, the biggest, well, there were several problems. I'll try to enumerate them in the order of the number one problem. I'll go third runner. I'll go like Miss America. The second runner-up problem was that he had nobody to throw to other than Edelman. Gronkowski had not yet gotten his legs. LaFell had not figured out how to the whole thing with him. A very complicated pass receiving on the Patriots more than any other team. And then Amendola had been continuing to be the bust he was the year before. And Gronkowski, of course, wasn't ready to go yet. No, but that's it. The next thing was Brady himself. He was not playing well. On top of not having receivers, bouncing throws, missing throws. You started to worry that the decline of a 37-year-old quarterback was in. It was complete, and we had definitely seen not only the best of Tom Brady, but wow, maybe the best of the idea of him being a above-average quarterback. He was now receding. It looked that way. Number 3, the offensive line was not merely bad. It was the most chaotic offensive line situation in the entire league. And it was just they're shuffling the guys in and out and this and that, and nothing was working. And between Game 4 and Game 5, a decision was made. Brian Stork, first pick, is going to be the center. Dan Conley's going back where he belongs. And suddenly they were stabilized, and you saw it 6 nights later. They pounded the Bengals, and as time went on, they had a taxing schedule, guys. They had a very taxing run of great, and they ran off a 7 straight. Gronkowski got healthy enough to wind up being unanimous first-team All-Pro. LaFell figured it out. Amendola figured it out. Shane Vereen became prominent, and then they had that weird game when Jonas Gray ran for 201 yards and was never heard from again. So, yes, here's the deal. I was on a television show. I'm on a weekly show a lot on Comcast of Boston. And the last question on the show after Game 4, what do you think their record's going to be at the end of the season? And I said 7-9. And
Wow.
That was not an out-of-line prediction in Boston. So there you go.
How are they set up for next year?
Pretty good in terms of the number one issue, far and away. We signed Darrelle Revis. Number one. Okay, that's it. And he's making. You know that he loved his time with the Jets. The Jets are going to make a real hard push to get him back. I don't know how it's going to come out. He's always all about money when it comes to contracts. He came to New England. He wanted to win a championship. Oh, he's done it. Now he's going to go back to being Darrelle Revis wants the money. Hey, show me the money. That's number one. In general terms, they're in pretty good shape, I think, to bringing back people, etc. There will be, I would guess, I'm going to guess that Vegas, if they haven't done it already, have you seen the odds on 2015? But I would guess that they're going to be favored. I don't see any reason why not, except Brady will be 38, but
I think the Seahawks might be the initial favorite.
No, that's fine. Doesn't matter. They'll be among the top 2 or 3. They're in good shape. With Revis, they lose Revis. That's big. That's real big. And so talk to me. We'll talk after we see what happens with Revis.
Talking to Bob Ryan from the Boston Globe, also the author of Scribe, My Life in Sports, available wherever books are sold. Let me ask you about the Celtics real quick. They have about 100 picks in the next couple of drafts. Is Brad Stevens, who left Butler, and I think he's only 38 years old, is he going to still be there when they actually can be good again?
See, everybody assumes that if the job opens in Bloomington, that he'll take it automatically, no questions asked, because he would be the guy that they would want. And I don't know. Look, the guy signed a 6-year contract in good faith. I think he believes in Danny Ainge and what's happening there. All I can tell you is that as of December, when I had one conversation with him personally, that he loved it there, his wife loves it there, the kids loves it there, et cetera, et cetera. It's got to be. He's got the perfect temperament that you need in the NBA to not to beat yourself up after every loss. I think he's going to stay the course. I think I would say it's now if the Indiana job opens up tomorrow. Okay, I don't know, but I really honestly think it's like 80-20. He's going to stay the course. Danny does have 5,000 draft picks, as you say. We'll see how he utilizes them, that's all I can say. Every coach in the league. Now, are they saying this because they want to keep a patsy around? I don't think so. They always praise him and what they see from his team and all that. Everybody in the league thinks he's a keeper. So that's all I can tell you.
Bob, as a lifelong Washingtonian, I am envious of all of your sports success there.
Yeah,
I mean, it is ridiculous.
It's embarrassing.
It's an embarrassment of riches.
Tomorrow is the 9th parade of the century.
Right.
9th.
Here's my question. It is ridiculous, and I'm envious, but I don't begrudge it. God bless you. It happened. Hope maybe someday we'll have a run. But we're so awful in all of our franchises, generally speaking. What are you seeing? Is there a theme to the major teams there? Is there one unifying thing that they have that we don't?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's so obvious, and you're going to go
ownership.
You're going to say owner.
Ownership.
Yeah.
We have solid, intelligent, non-tonic ownership in all 4 sports. That's what we have. That you don't have.
Yeah.
I mean, you got, you don't have it, and it does start there. We have, we're not perfect people. They make their businessmen. They get sued and all that. No, they're good sports owners. We're blessed. And that includes the Bruins, who for years were penurious and they wouldn't spend money. But one day, Jeremy Jacobs woke up and said, "Hey, I want to win and not just sell hot dogs." By golly,
right?
And he brings in Cam Neely, and then next thing you know, they win and go to the finals. So it's all about ownership.
Well, we're led to believe here, Bob, that Ted is a good owner. What is the national perspective on Ted Leonsis?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I
So
don't
that's
think he has
two
a great-
sports.
I don't think he has a great. It's all about the football owner. We don't have to talk about.
Right, that's a given.
Baseball's now built. They're the favorites on paper. You got the best team in baseball. They just have to go out and do it.
Right.
There's questions about the manager. No question. There's your question. Do they have the right manager? I don't know. I loved him as a third baseman. I was a Giants fan. He was a beautiful, but I don't know.
Right.
There's your weak link. I
Right.
mean, in the eyes of most of the experts. But when you got the team on paper, that's every general manager in baseball would trade his roster for his Nats. I'll put it that way.
Wow.
Bob, thank you so much for the time. It's Bob Ryan from the Boston Globe. Be sure to go out and get his book, Scribe, My Life in Sports, wherever books are sold, Amazon.com.
JP's going to buy a dozen copies
Yes.
to make up for it.
And
Thank you.
He's going to look at your picture to make sure he knows exactly what you look like, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks for having me, guys. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, my God, JP. I'm so
No
embarrassed.
picture on the article. Then what do you do? I hit Google, Bob Ryan Super Bowl, and that article came up.
Don't. Oh,
Could have happened to anybody.
no, never would have happened to me. Cause I
Oh,
know,
please.
I
You
know
called
who he
guests
is.
wrong names.
I know who he is.
You've introduced guests with the wrong name.
Have never been a more dunce-worthy moment.
Yeah, we need it.
Can we-
Yeah,
do
where
it
is
fine?
the
You
dunce
can't be
cap?
defensive about this.
It's
You
just
have to
a
own it.
miss.
It's fine. I'm telling you what I did.
epic. It's
I
an
hit
epic.
Google.
I know, but
And
you
Bob
think,
Ryan.
You think Bob Ryan, one of the great sportcasters of all time? I'm not even sure if he might,
He
he might
doesn't
be in the
write
Basketball Hall of
he
Fame.
doesn't write for a rinky-dink
Yeah,
blog.
you think he's writing for a blog?
It's not a blog. It was written in a blog style. It was an article.
Do you think he
Okay.
writes in a blog style? I'm pretty sure he's in the Hall of Fame. Do you think he writes in a blog style?
Top 3 sports writer of all time, probably.
Right?
You know what? He
You think
played
he's
it off
on,
well.
KissingSusieColbert.com.
He could have been
That's
a
not
real.
where I saw
he
it.
could have been a real dick about it, but he was cool.
He was gracious.
Yeah.
He's a nice man. And meanwhile, perfect setup too. I'm just jocking his book. I love your book. It was fantastic. And then JP's referencing an article some blogger wrote.
Smiley face, sad face.
Yeah, you think
It's a good article.
I'll be honest with you.
I'm about to slap my left knee down because my right knee hurts so
If
bad.
it was an in-person thing, I would have walked out of the room. You know what I mean? But we were live on the air. We're doing a radio show. I didn't know what to do. How do you recover from it? A lot of people were saying you should have asked him what the weather was going to be this week.
right. That Bob
Could have
Ryan.
been that Bob Ryan, too.
That guy's got some good Q rating in this area.
Look, I bought into it because I Googled it, and the first thing came up said Super Bowl through the eyes of Bob Ryan.
I understand.
It's the
but
New England
just-
Patriots.
I mean,
Bob Ryan, Boston Globe, assumed it was him.
Yeah,
and
but
no
the-
picture came up.
The
I've
website,
seen him a billion
the
times.
website is prepcasts.com. He writes for the
I
Boston
mean, you just
Globe.
didn't do a thorough job. There's no defending it. Okay, you know the internet.
Who is that Bob Ryan?
It's a loser. The one you referenced is a loser.
Yeah.
It's a zilch.
He doesn't have a book out. I know that. That I do know.
Oh man.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, who's apparently in rehab, and some people seem upset about it.
1067